Good afternoon, Smith Memorial. I hope all of you are doing well today. I'm filming this devotional at home, as I'm sure you've noticed, and I haven't done that in a while, but I wanted to try and bring that back so that I could speak to you directly for the week. We are about halfway done with the season of Lent, roughly. We've passed through Ash Wednesday. We've been telling the truth over the last few weeks in the middle of our sermon series, which I've called Telling the Truth. That's included some painful moments. Ash Wednesday exists as a reminder of our mortality, a reminder of our dependence on God. The sermon series we've been in, we've talked very directly about the nature of sin in our world. We've talked very forthrightly about some of the evil and some of the problems that exist in our world. The fact we talked this past weekend about the fact that sin can sometimes be collective, that we can be blind to it, that sometimes we have to search ourselves and our hearts and we might find unexpected things there. We have to look for those unexpected things. So, Lent is a particularly difficult, emotionally charged season in the church calendar, in the church year, in the Christian year. Because we have to ask hard questions of ourselves during this season. So I want to talk to you today about risk and reward. There's a certain risk that comes with going through a season like we're in. There's a risk of asking hard questions. There's a risk of looking at the reality of sin in our world in new ways. There's a lot of risk in that. There's a lot of risk in looking at our participation in the sins of the world in new ways. There's a risk that we might have to change the way we live, that we might have to change the way we act, change the way we carry ourselves. Change is always dangerous, or it always feels dangerous to us as human beings because we like what we know, we like normal. We all learned that a year ago today when we met for church, and that was the last time in a year. Change is hard. There's no sugarcoating that. But friends, I think change comes with a lot of hope. And I think the word sin, though it has often been used to condemn and to marginalize and even to oppress, that comes with hope too. Because as we have been telling the truth over the course of this sermon series, we've been doing so with an eye towards the fact, not just that we have things to work on as people, but that we can be better. That we can be better than what we are. The passage that I'm going to focus on in the sermon this weekend talks about the lion laying down with the lamb. Lions are predators. They hunt and kill. Lambs are typically prey. They're the most fragile, a very fragile example of an animal. They're easily hurt, easily killed. So the idea that this strong and mighty lion, this great predator on the one hand, could lie down and be at peace with this fragile, little, gentle lamb on the other is kind of hard for us to wrap our minds around. But our passage speaks of these two animals existing together as a fruit of God's love in the world. So I want to offer this for you all today. Yes, we have done a lot of searching. Yes, we have done a lot of reflecting. Yes, we have asked hard questions. And yes, we must continue to ask those hard questions. That's the risk we take as Christians. The risk that as we look to God for guidance, God might tell us something that's completely unexpected. and dangerous even. But the reward we have is the chance to participate in the peace that God brings, the chance to live in the world that God is creating with us and through us. That's an incredible promise. There are things that we are used to taking for granted in our world. There's always going to be a certain level of evil. There is always going to be a certain level of violence, of unease, of uncomfortability, of fear that's wrapped into our lives. But the promise of Christianity, the promise of Jesus Christ, the promise of our God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, Creator, Redeemer, and Sustainer, is that those things do not have to be the way that things are. They do not have to be a part of our world. So as we continue through this season of Lent, I invite you and I encourage you to continue taking risks, to continue searching yourself, to continue trying to be better week in and week out, day in and day out, to continue to reflect on the reality of sin in our world, but not to do it just to put yourself down. To do it because it's through asking these questions that we have the chance to let God in, to be transformed, to be filled with that perfect love that casts out all fear. Let's be filled with love, not fear. Let's ask the hard questions in the spirit of love, in the spirit of love for God, for our neighbors, and for ourselves. That's the promise we have to look forward to. That we'll be filled with love, and that through the love we carry in our hearts, our world will find peace.